Hello. Hi, everybody. How are you all doing? Is my mic okay? Do you hear me okay? Okay, give me 1 second because my dog wants to say hi. Hi, everyone. Okay, give me 1 second. My dog wants to say hi. Yeah. Say hi. Say hi, baby. Hi. Okay. 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 Hi. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? All right. Just say hi. They want to see you. They want to see you more than they want to see me. Hi. All right. Okay, so I'm live on Instagram. Sometimes I forget. Should we greet everybody, maybe? Okay, let's greet everybody. Hi. Lots of background noise. Um, should I reconnect? Is it really like bad? Should I reconnect? Is it bad? Is the background noise bad? His coat is so shiny. It sounds like a fan. It's actually the. Should I reconnect? How about now? Is that better? It's not bad. Is this way better? Better. Okay. I shifted my that's weird because there's like two voice audio source. I shifted it to the other one, but it's actually the same one. I don't know why there's a second item. But anyway, um okay. Hi everybody. How are you all doing? I know that all better now. Okay. Perfect. Okay, perfect. I got it. Okay, so let me say hi to everybody first. Angel Star. Oh, Phaedra made it. You're always absent. Okay. Whoa, Angel Star Phaedra, Shelling, Robin Carr. You two have been talking for a while. Okay. It's like a long conversation between the two of you. Reg, Shelling Kim, AGL, Kathleen. I am Claudia, OSP, A Brown, Warren, Cindy, Ophelia, Sarah, Gemini, Carol, MLB, Miriam, Taryn, Robin Carr, Taiga, Nikon Lady, Nate, Leah, AGL, Christy, Warren, Linda, Melva, Gilda, Letitia, Ras Bob, Alta, Fire Butterfly, Bang Luna, Amy, Lisa Parker, Alta, okay, Linda, Fire Butterfly is also on Twitch, Coogie also on Twitch, Rhea, Miriam, HHK. Oh, Taiga became a member. Yeah, so I have a live stream on Friday. Some interesting topics actually. I have a live stream on Friday that would be for Diamond and Rise and Shine and Up. Te was wearing a Wolfpack t-shirt that's from North Carolina State University in North Carolina, 20 minutes from where I live. Okay. Lakeisha, Farah, Teresa. Okay. Hi everybody. How are you all doing? Um Last night, okay. So just want to share. I watched this it's a one episode documentary on Netflix. If you guys want to watch it, it's catfishing, high school catfishing. It's a one episode documentary and it's about this girl. She was 14 years old, middle school, and she started getting this like anonymous text messages from somebody. And it was like, remember, she's 14 years old. So she has a boyfriend, puppy love, I guess, first love. Um, and she started getting these text messages. She's from a small town in the US. And then the text messages were pretty explicit. In the beginning, it was just like, oh, your boyfriend is going to break up with you. He doesn't like you anymore. And, she's 14. Of course, she's going to get affected with text messages like that. And then it stopped, and then after like a week it restarted again. Hi Juveline, and then Wonder Human, hello. So it restarted, the text messages restarted again, and it was a group text between her and the boyfriend, and then whoever this anonymous texter is. And she was getting text messages like, kill yourself, nobody wants you, like your boyfriend is gonna. And this is pretty explicit. Like, I can't even text to say the messages exactly because YouTube is gonna ban me. But your boyfriend's mouth in my tooth, stuff like that. Like, I'm gonna give her a B tooth, things like that. And remember, she's 14. And so she was like, kill you, and then kill you, unalive yourself, but not that word, the other word, the more. Yeah. So and it was getting redirected. It was getting sent to her and the boyfriend, like, break up with her, nobody wants you, you're you're flat, you're too thin, nobody likes you in school, blah blah blah. Your boyfriend was with me last night, I spent time with him. And then, so when that started happening, because the texter kept on claiming that she was spending time with the boyfriend, and the boyfriend and her were doing, blah 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 stuff that I can't say here. But she was pretty explicit in the text messages. She's actually saying what they did. It, like, describe it. She would describe it. And then and so the girl, this is 14 years old, and so the girl was like, started questioning her boyfriend, like, who were you with? And so the boyfriend was like, I don't know who this is, like, I wasn't spending any time with anybody. And then it got so bad that they actually told the school about it, because they felt like maybe it's one of the girls in school who was actually jealous of her or something and wanted a boyfriend for herself. And so they went through so many students in that school, and of course ruining the high school reputation of the students that were getting questioned and stuff. And so finally, because they couldn't get to the bottom of it, um they even, like, one of the suspects was the cousin of the guy, because the texter had access to some, like, photos that only family members will have. So anyway, so the friendships were broken. The two eventually broke up because the guy was like, maybe if we give her what we want, they want, they're just gonna, leave us alone. So eventually they broke up, and then the FBI got involved. So one of the police officer that was heading the investigation decided to turn it over to the FBI. And since it is cyber crime, FBI can actually take over because it's like there's no specific location. So so the FBI finally took over, and then about after 2 months or 3 months, they decided to subpoena the phone records of the how did they find? But anyway, I don't quite remember exactly what the FBI officer did, but the bottom line is that they determined that the phone number was a Verizon phone number. So they subpoena the records, and then they determined the um, application that this person was using to send text messages. Apparently, there are apps that you can use that changes your phone number. So even if you block a phone number, they can still text you because they'll just change it. So they were able to determine what that app was. They subpoena the records, and they determined that in each time the text messages was sent, it was coming from one number. So they took a look at what phone number that was, and it was a Verizon phone number. They subpoena Verizon, and it came back to the mother of the kid, of the child. Oh my god. So watch it. Oh my god. It was like I really can't understand. Yeah, it was years later that the two broke up. um the guy even had, like, he started dating somebody else. He was of course trying to move on with his life, and he started dating somebody else. And then even that girl um even that girl was actually, the girl that the guy dated was actually also harassed. So like, and so they went into the why was she doing it and whatever. So watch it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I was gonna it is so messed up. So that's crazy. I was actually gonna start watching Queen Mantis. In It's a Netflix serial killer drama well, serial killer series. So on Netflix, but Netflix just recommended it to me. So, and it was one episode. It was like an hour, I think. So you'll be able to just watch it in one go. But yeah, it's super interesting. And so um, that the mother was super about, yeah. So the big piece for me was trying to understand why she was doing it. So um yes, it was all over the news. Yeah, it was all over the news. It's not, it's a pretty popular, like, case. So the big thing for me was trying to understand what was going on. Why was she doing it? Like, why would you do that to somebody very close to you? And of course, like, it's not like one I would have it I probably would have felt like, I think it would have been more believable um if it was one of the classmates, and the classmate was jealous of her because she liked the guy. I'd probably say, like, they'll get over it. But this is, oh my gosh, you like all dark stuff. I like fluffy things to forget about real life. Yes, I do like dark, the very dark stuff. I told you my dream interview would be with a serial killer. So yes, I do like those things. As long as it doesn't happen to, what would you do? Why would you do that to anybody? Exactly. So just watch it. It's like, it's a pretty well known case. And I the I the what I find more interesting is trying to get to the bottom of why would she actually do it. I don't understand, like, for you to tell your own kid to unalive themselves. So it's not that's not that's not something that I can ever I mean, I can't imagine saying that to anybody. Even not even to my worst enemy. I will not that's not something I will tell anybody, not even to my worst enemy. I wouldn't tell it to anybody. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, so for somebody like her to do that. Um, so yeah, it's like the woman who framed her partner for death of the whole family that he was having an affair with, and then getting away, they crashed and died. Yeah, I thought initially like, let me know once you watch it because I want to know what your theory is. Because it's still a puzzle to me how someone like her can do that to somebody like, someone she supposedly loved. He wasn't. He was having an affair with I'm talking about the catfishing, the catfish case. What I don't get is why cops didn't start with those that are the closest. Yeah. Well, one of the I think I'll have trouble watching it. I'll probably stick to my animes. Is that I'm just interested, and she was 14, correct? She was 14. I that is what's interesting to me, I think, like getting into the mind of the woman. I still don't understand. I feel like the reasoning she gave is not enough. Like that does not convince me. I think she had another motive, another reason for doing it. Uh so yeah, maybe she's in love with a boyfriend. I don't know. Like because for you to get to a point, it will said that, definitely she's not in her right mind. I don't think anybody in their right mind would do something like that. Um, so that is for sure she's not in her right mind. But there's even if she's not in her right mind, there's still a motivator, right? So that's what I want to know. So one of my theory is that she was actually in love with the guy, with the boyfriend of her daughter. The mother clearly has mental issues. She still hasn't taken accountability for her actions. What was her reasoning? She said that initially, and this is deranged. So the initial text messages came during the day before their Halloween party. And then so there's somebody in class supposedly who would do this annual Halloween party, and the girl and her boyfriend were going to attend the party. And that's when she first started getting the messages, and then after that it stopped. So after about 2 weeks it restarted. So she said, according to her, it wasn't her who sent the initial text message. She said it wasn't her, it was somebody else. And so and the reason she started doing it was to know who was the initial person, the first person who started sending all of these text messages, which doesn't sound convincing to me. It's just like I think she really doesn't know what to do or what to say. That's why she decided to give that reasoning, because it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah. Okay. According to K Media, BTS members may attend their brands fashion shows. She probably want him for herself, the boyfriend. That's what I think. Is this related to BTS? No, Lisa in the Sky. I was talking about this Netflix show. It's a 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, I guess, special episode about this girl that got like text messages sexually. It's the title is like Catfishing High School Edition or something like that. Okay. All right. Lucy, we tend to discuss many times. It's almost like the teacher and the student affair thing, and the teacher had a baby with the student. Yes. And they eventually got married. So, okay. If you want to interview a serial killer, yikes. It's not like Anthony Hopkins' smooth accent and piercing. I know. I know that. I know that. That's like a goal. That's what I kind of wanted to do. So, but it's not like not well, it's not even a goal. Like it's just a wish. Like if I get a chance to interview a serial killer, I'd like to do that. Okay. Let's go. What do you want to talk about first? Bang Shiyok? Do you want to talk about the Gold House? This is the Geffen and Hybe event. Do you want to talk about business strategies? And then I have a few news and updates, just a few. Which one do you want to talk about first? Uh I thought that you mentioned it was to prevent her daughter from being sad like the mother experienced when younger. That is what that's another reasoning the mother said. But then, is that the way to do it? You would ask your daughter to unalive themselves? You're going to destroy her relationships. You're going to destroy everybody else's reputation, all for that. And also, she seems like a pathological liar for me because she lied to her husband about losing the job, right? So she hasn't had the two jobs that she claimed to have had for a while now, and she never told her husband. And then, she made claims on her insurance claims on their house, and then would just like not use the money for what it's supposed to be. So okay, news and updates is just a few. She's a sick woman. Yeah, if we can, if you want to watch it, it's on Netflix. And then my next one, she showed no remorse. Correct. And then the next one that I'm going to be watching is Queen Mantis. The story of that is that there's this police officer who needs to solve a serial killer crime. He needs to identify this serial killer, and to do that, he had to work with his mother. He has to work with his mother, who's in jail, but was also a serial killer. So, so yes, I like disturbed things. So I want to, that's my next drama. That's the one that I'm going to be watching. But I think it's just like 7 or 8 episodes. Um, and then I'll probably watch comedy and then go back to serial killer. Okay, but that's what I'm going to be watching. Maybe I'll do a live stream. I'll watch it the same way I did a live stream when I watched the documentary of Cortez. So okay, but that's my next one. Queen Mantis. All right. Queen Mantis. Oh, you're watching it? Okay. I'll probably live stream it. Just I can't wait to watch Queen. Okay, so the first news is that I guess it is official, although I actually haven't seen it being announced by touring data. But the Hope on the Stage is officially the highest grossing tour by a Korean soloist in history and an Asian native artist in history. $84 million. $84 million. Had he extended it for about 10 more, he probably could have gotten like 100 million, right? But I guess he was pressed for time. So, and then it was 100% sold out on all of the venues. In some of the venues, it was oversold. So congratulations to J Hope. Okay. 84 million, he can buy some fancy new watches and probably pay for lunch the next time he asks his sister to meet with him for lunch. I can't forget that event. I can't forget that picture in my head. When he invited his sister for lunch. And then Jimin, so he became, oh sorry, this is cut off. Okay. So who is now the very first um Asian native act to actually have a song with 400 million streams in the US alone. So I don't know what's with this song, but I guess America loves it because it's still ranking. It is currently, I think, it's on its way to 500 days in Spotify US. So congratulations to Jimin. Imagine if J Hope alone did that, imagine what will be for BTS's next tour. Correct. So the video that I will be posting later is actually, I'll be mentioning that because I know a lot of people keep on comparing their numbers to the 2019 to the Love Yourself tour of BTS, forgetting that that was actually an arena tour. I don't know if people are aware of that. Love Yourself was actually an arena tour, and Speak Yourself is an encore of the Love Yourself tour. So it had very limited stadium dates. And then Mott's was supposed to be it was supposed to be stadium tour, but it got canceled. Angel Star gifted one membership. We see, oh, Angel Star gifted Lisa. Okay. Everyone wants to be the Who. Jimmy. Yeah. So I don't know what's with this song, but it's just he's always been very strong in the US. So congratulations to him. Have you adjusted the numbers for inflation? No, not for that. No. For I'll do that next live stream. I will be adjusting all numbers, including their albums, Love Yourself albums. And not just the inflation, also the sales. Jimin beat Dynamite and Butter numbers in such a short time. The GP loves the throwback sound of the 2000s. Yeah. And I think it had that um it actually had the same appeal. It's not the same type of music, but the same appeal as Cupid uh of 50-50. It had that same sort of like it sounds simple, but it's not superficial, right? Because that's actually the appeal of Cupid, the one that the 50-50 hit. The the messaging of Cupid is something uh like Cupid missed or something like that. So it's such a catchy message. It's universal, but it's not exactly superficial. I don't consider romantic or love themes automatically superficial. So the same thing is true for Who. Because if you listen to the lyrics, it's like, you know, like I'm waiting. Where is this person gonna come into my life? So that's basically what he's saying. But also there's the undertone of, but I'm okay. I'm not desperate. I'm just asking like, is it ever gonna come to me? And that's like a universal sentiment. So I think the actual message of the song is very appealing. And then it's, it's a great melody. So we can chat about Jimin all day. Okay, we can chat. Yes, about any member of BTS. Okay. And then, if you can, please continue watching the Grammy performance of BTS because we're very close to becoming the most watched Grammy live performance. So if you can just add it to like once or twice, if you can play it once or twice in a day, that would be great so that we can overtake the number one. I actually don't know what the most watched is. I have a theory, but I'm not sure. But if you can just watch it like once or twice a day, then we can definitely overtake the number one. Okay. Um that this okay, this was just funny. This was sent to me and the person was asking like, the person was asking me if I can identify whose hand is on whose face. So because it's confusing for a lot of people. I know that V's hand, his arm and his hand is actually covering Jin and Suga, and then Suga is covering V's mouth. So, but then the rest try to guess. Maybe J Hope is covering his, and then RM's. What do you think? Which site for the Grammy performance? It's on YouTube. BTS Butter Grammy. So just go to YouTube, BTS, and then search for BTS Grammy performance. So it's the live one. I don't know who they tried to fool, but can't you tell me Jimin didn't win VMAs? Jimin on JK. Jimin on JK? V's hand on Suga and Jin, it seems. JK is way up there. V's hand on Suga. Yes, that too is pretty clear. And I think V's hand is also on Jin's mouth. J-Hope covering himself and RM is covering Jimin. So Jungkook is not covering anybody. J-Hope covering RM and Jimin. J-Hope covering RM and Jimin covering J-Hope. J-Hope covering his own and RM. J-Hope on RM. J-Hope's hand on RM and himself. So who's covering Jimin? RM on Jimin? RM on JK. RM is way there. Is way down there. Jin is covering Te. I think Suga is covering Te. This will be discussed for generations of armies to come. I know, right? It's such a mystery. Why BTS has not won a Grammy yet? They do. They do. They only want them to perform. That be a lot of hands. I give up. RM on Jimin. RM on Jimin. I think J Hope is on himself, huh? And J Hope is on himself and RM. Look at the pinky finger on JK. Okay. Well, that was sent to me, and the person who sent it to me was asking, like, can you identify J Hope is on RM? That I think is right. I think J Hope is on RM. So there's a huge possibility that I don't know. J Hope is covering RM and Jimin. Jimin is covering J Hope. Could be, yeah. Jimin is covering J Hope, and then J Hope is covering RM and Jimin. Looks like Jimin on JK Photoshop magic. Could be. Could be. I would say Jimin is covering J Hope given the jewelry. Yeah. My initial guess is that so it's J Hope on RM and Jimin. And then Jimin on J Hope. And then I think they Photoshop Jimin on JK. So that, yeah. So that's that I think. And then V is on Jin and Suga is on V. Is there a correct answer out there? No, it's just like guessing for everybody, but it's fun. And then this is your emotional support pick of the day. Our Maknae. Doesn't he look good? They're contortionists. 20. Oh, thank you, Linda. Contribution for Debux Travel Fund and Treats. Baby, say thank you. You have to say thank you. Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you. That is for your travel and for your treats. Okay. So you can have your own seat. In any case, if any of you wants to travel with your dog and no problem and not have any kind of problem whatsoever, there are airlines right now that are actually designed specifically for people with pets. So just in case. Although it's of course way more expensive, but okay, so JK, that's your emotional support pick. Do we get an award for the right answer? No, no award. Okay, next. No one even has any the right answer, like the definitive right answer. And then they already have birthday projects for Jungkook. So as don't forget to celebrate. It's going to be a month-long celebration for Jungkook, even though, and of course for RM. So celebrate for the entire month of September for the both of them. So I'm sure that they are excited. We are all excited as well. Jimin and JK Arm is under J Hopes. And this is the concert of TXT. So apparently this is what's happening. About 3 days, 4 days before, TXT's tickets weren't selling out, and a lot of people like wondering, like, are they done? Like, why are the tickets not selling? So what was happening is that fans actually just really figured out that they would sell the tickets expensive, so that they would set the ticket price high, but last minute they would drop it. And so many MOAs actually waited until the day of to buy, because they know that Ticketmaster was going to drop the ticket prices. And so it could be something that that could start happening to a lot of acts, where fans would wait last minute to buy, simply because the prices are just ridiculous if you don't buy last minute. So just to let you know, but so a lot of people on X were actually criticizing TXT, saying that they're done. They're not gonna, that's it for them, like they've reached their peak and they are on their way down. And then competition, like people that are fans of Stray Kids and whatever, are saying that they lost and whatever. So, but it's a full house. They sold out their concert. The thing is that a lot of fans, a lot of MOAs actually waited until the last minute. So, so that will most likely start happening. People are just gonna wait last minute to buy. That will only work if you live local to the venue. That's what I thought. But apparently, a lot of MOAs actually just booked their hotels. So they booked their flights, they booked their hotels, they were in the venue, close to the venue, and then they were just waiting for the tickets to come. So, you know, um, so I think it might be something that will be common with the other acts that are going to start touring. Corporations are always trying to scam and get greedy. They are. True. Okay, and then I don't know if you've heard this, but Cat's Eye was the second most mentioned celebrity during the VMAs, next to Ariana Grande. So, congratulations to the girls. We're going to be talking about them in a bit, but they are becoming really, really popular. They are starting to gain traction. I don't know if you know, but a lot of they're actually starting to show some stability in the chart. So, and then they released a new song. It most likely they're going to release another album before their tour. I can see that happening. Yeah, BTS is always a an exemption. I definitely think that there will be local fans who might try to do that, just the local ones. um if there will be resellers. So I think what's going to happen is that it's going to be sold out in membership only sell. um so I don't know if they're going to actually be leaving out tickets, because for others, like for example for J-Hope and for Suga, they had a membership only sale, right? Pre-sale for members only, but they also reserved tickets. They didn't release all of the tickets. They reserved some for general sale. I don't know if they're going to do that for BTS. I think they might just release everything during pre-sale. Let's see. I missed out on August D because I didn't get tickets first thing. Never again. I'll book hotel and go and buy last minute. Um oh, okay, okay, got it. Cat's Eye is truly great. Yeah, they're starting to become really popular. So congratulations to them. They're the second most mentioned artist in the VMA. Okay. Next, do you remember her? Do you remember her? She is she belongs to the other group of friends of Suga. So if you would remember, she actually appeared in Suchuita, and she talked about how Suga is actually the maknae of their group, and that they're all very fond of Suga. They're like, whatever you do, we're going to be supporting you. You're great because you are our youngest. and they talked about how they became friends. So according to their story, there was this one birthday event where she and other people were there, and Suga attended that. And after that, like, I guess her and some other people like took numbers of people of other people in the party and started setting up like coffee. They would meet up and whatever. So um at another time, she blasted a text to those people that she has a number of, inviting people over at her house. And Suga didn't want to go in the beginning because he's our awkward boy. So it was like, "Ah, I don't know if I should go." He did though, and that's how this group of friends actually developed. And so they have a group of friends where Suga is actually the youngest member, so he's the maknae, and she's one of them. So she was signed in YG Entertainment, and as you know, she's an actress. YG Entertainment dissolved their actors division because they want to concentrate on music alone. And so she had to find another agency. So she found another agency, and this is her new headshot. So that was the only reason I mentioned her is because she's a friend of Suga. So please support her projects. So she is a very good friend of Suga. Yugi, yeah, he is the quintessential introvert. Okay, that's it for my news and update. Let me bring my dog down. Okay, say bye bye, baby. Say bye bye. Yeah, bye bye. Bye bye. Say bye bye. Bye bye. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, he's back in his favorite bed. He has one, two, three in beds in my room, and then he has one outside, and then he has one in my mom's bedroom. So he has five in the house. Okay. This patch just posted J Hope and Jungkook. I saw that earlier. I decided not to put it here, but yeah, I saw that they were departing. So people are speculating that they're actually I think Jimin as well. Jimin also. So they're speculating that they're going to be attending some fashion shows. Let's see. Let's wait for the announcement. But yeah, they left. So let's see what they are up to. Um the way he leaned into the hug was so cute. He's always been like that. Like he actually he likes my neck. I guess that's where the scent is strongest. So Debak is like JK with his mattress. Okay, so what do you want to do next? Bang Shiyuk? So that we get rid of the heavy topic first. Debak is okay. He's super cute. Yeah, maybe let me see. So they posted, let's see. They posted, so I think they got Jimin. Um they got Jimin earlier, and then J-Hope. Yeah. So they posted J-Hope and Jungkook. So if you wanna go to their Twitter or their website, Bang Shiuk. That shaman has been busy poor. Okay, let's do Bang Shiuk first so that we can get rid of the heavy topic, not really negative, but heavy topic first. And then we can talk about the fun things, right? Okay. So Bang Shiyuk has been summoned. It's going to be on the 15th of this month. That's Korean time. And the press are already mentioning that there has to be a photo line. So they're saying that there has to be a photo line. This is a police questioning. And just in case that if you don't remember what the photo line is, that's when the reporters are actually lined up in the hallway, I guess, that pathway leading into the door of the police station. And then they're going to ask the person to bow, say a few words, take pictures of the person. And that is their version, the media's version um, what do you call that? The shot that they take of suspects. Okay. So why? Because that's how they exercise their power, that's how they feel powerful and morally superior. So yeah, they choose it though. As you would remember, they didn't do it to Tail is the NCT member who's already convicted of rape, and he confessed to that sexual assault. And right now he's been to the station several times. In fact, right now he is in the process of appealing his sentence, because he was sentenced, I think, to 5 years in prison, which I think is too short. I think any kind mugshot. Yeah. So that is the press's version of a mugshot, their photo line. So for Tail, no one actually cares. So he's been in the police station several times, has been convicted of a crime, but no one's writing about it really. He is in the process of appealing his case. So let's see if the court is actually going to grant it. So okay, so they're probably going to do the same thing for Bang Shiyuk, and that they probably will not stop until they get to the people that they want to get to. Okay. All right. So as I've said, there might be a photo line. Let's prepare ourselves to see that. But the other thing is, let's do remember that Bang Shiyuk actually returned to Korea exactly for this. This is why he went back. As you know, he has been based in the US. He's been extending his stay in the US because he's been growing Hybe America, extending partnerships, strengthening the presence of Hybe in different regions. And he specifically said in the letter that he wrote to the employees of Hybe that he is apologizing. He knows that people are very worried about what's happening, and that he decided to set aside everything that he's doing for Hybe America so that he can face this. So this is something that he's very prepared for, and something that I'm sure his lawyers knew will happen. Okay, so on the 15th is when it's going to happen. Now, there is this article that was published, sort of explaining what this charge is all about. As we know, this case has already been investigated twice or even a third time, depending on how you're counting the investigations. So, and in both times, the finance committee have already decided that he didn't break any kind of regulation. In fact, he took on the risks. Okay. So now people are asking, why are you doing it again if you've already determined that he didn't do anything wrong as per regulation? So this is what this investigation is about. What this new charge is actually about. Okay. So remember that in June 11, their new president, visited the Korean Exchange Market Surveillance Committee. And he specifically said that unfair trading in Korean stock market should be treated as a disgrace to one's family. So he kind of wants to make it as shameful as a crime. Like if you murder somebody, it has to be the same weight as what he's saying. Sanctions should be several times the amount of illicit profit. Intentional, repeated, and large cases should result into suspensions and expulsion from the market. Okay, so that's what he wants. He wants to go after the big ones. All right. So July 16. So his visit, just to make clear the timeline. June 11 is actually when he made that announcement. He is formally waging war against people that are manipulating the market. July 16, more than a month later, the Securities and Futures Commission filed charges linked to HYBE's initial public offering. Okay, so the Securities and Futures Commission is similar to our SEC here in the US, Security and Exchange Commission. So the market and industry experts, those that are also in the business, think that the Hybe case is what they are looking, they meaning the government, is what the government is looking to become a poster case. So they need a flagship case to demonstrate that the president is actually going to follow through with what he wants to happen. And Hybe is going to be perfect because they are popular, they're very, very high profile and attached to the name of the biggest, one of the biggest acts in the world right now. That is the speculation of the business industry in South Korea. More than anything, this is the probe of the Securities and Futures Commission in South Korea is a result of the announcement of the president, and they're looking for a poster case, and this is going to be it. Okay. So just want to make it clear that these are not my own words. These are actually derived from the article that I just showed you, this one. Okay. All right. So I'm explaining to you what the article actually explained. Okay. So um this was already investigated, and Bang Shiyuk has already been proven innocent. No penalty has been imposed, nothing, uh, no jail time, whatever. And the Korean Exchange Commission said, okay, they did not violate anything. All right. So then, what actually is the new charge? What has changed? Because they can't investigate the same thing. Okay, so this is actually the case. All right. So Hybe, I'm going to assume that you know the story already. If you don't, let me know. But as you know, Hybe actually partnered with a private equity firm. Okay. Their IPO has been delayed twice, actually three times. It has been delayed three times. Now, many of the shareholders asked Bang Shiyuk to help them get rid of their shares because they weren't sure if the IPO is ever going to happen. So, and the condition is that they wanted their share to be bought at a higher price. Okay, because they didn't want to lose money. So Bang Shiyuk tried and tried to look for anybody that would do this. He couldn't find anybody. So he finally found two private equity firms that they were willing to actually buy under one condition, that if they lose money, Bang Shiyuk is going to personally pay them the difference of their loss. That was the condition. Okay. So he forged an agreement with this private equity firm. He said, okay, I will buy it back once we go public or after a certain amount of time. I'm going to buy it back. If you lose money, I will cover it. That's what he said. So the private equity firm bought all the shares of the people, the investors who wanted to let go of their stocks. Okay. All right. So that's what happened with the private equity firm. Hybe then successfully went public. Okay. On day one, it soared. Okay. So the stock price of Hybe actually soared to 351. They opened at 180, I think, 180,000 Korean won. But midday, it soared. It soared to about 280 first, and then FOMO actually hit. FOMO is the fear of missing out. If you are a retail investor, especially those that are actively trading means you really are selling and buying almost the entire day. So in FOMO, if you do FOMO, if you're doing that, what you want is that you want to be able to maximize all the gains, right? And so people are realizing midday that it was climbing up 280. And so they scrambled to get money. Finally, they bought it, hit 351, which is the daily limit. Okay, so a stock can't actually go like $1 to 10,000 in a day. There's a limit. They set a limit. So for that day, the limit, the maximum amount it can go up to is 351, and it actually went 351. And so a lot of retail investors, this is the claim, is they bought near that amount, 351. It actually went to about 400, I think, the next day. So people were buying because they think that it's going to go up. They kept on buying. Now, two private equity firms, the same private equity firm that he forged a partnership with to buy those stocks that wanted to let go before the IPO, they sold theirs. So remember that the stocks were actually the amount of stocks that they had. This is amounts to like millions and millions. It's not like 10 or 20. 10 or 20 is not going to affect the market, but they had like thousands and thousands and millions of worth of stocks. And so they sold their share. Okay. And so because this is like by the millions, the stock plummeted. Okay. Because the stock price is dictated by the demand in the market. So more people are buying it, then the stock actually goes up. More people are selling it, then it's going to go down. So because they dumped millions, the stock plummeted from 351, and I think it went up to about 400 to 255. So this is where the cry is coming from. This is where the complaint is actually coming from, because the retail investors are saying that the terms and conditions. So when you buy a stock, if you're buying a stock, just active buying, if you go to a platform and whatever, you're usually given a chance. It's not required, but they do give you the terms and condition of that stock, so that you know what you're actually buying. Okay, so they give you that. Now, retail investors are saying that uh, okay, so I'm jumping the gun. So now the thing is that normally, large shareholders like this private equity firms, they have a lockup rule. Okay. Meaning, if you are invested in a company like that, especially if you are one of the investors in the beginning, you can't automatically share your stock, or either that, or or you're limited to the amount of stock that you can sell, because they don't want you to plummet the stock. So they would usually either put a hold, like, okay, you have to hold it for 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. And that is normal. That's perfectly normal. A lot of people actually, not people, but a lot of corporations actually do that. Okay. So 1 or 2 or 3 months, and then you can sell. Or sometimes they'll just put a limit. Like you can only let go of stocks worth like 5 million or 2 million or whatever. But Bang Shiyuk's agreement with the private equity does not limit the amount of stocks that the private equity fund can actually dump. So they got rid of that clause. Now, that is not illegal. Okay. It is perfectly okay to take that out of a contract. That's perfectly legal. Okay. So, since the lockup rule is not present, private equity firms dump their stocks. So they earned a lot of money. Because remember, let's say when they purchased all these stocks from the early investors, they were buying it for, I don't know, 180, 100, and now it's 351, and you have 100,000 of that. You're going to make a lot of money. So a lot of people actually made some money. So Mainstone and Easton private equity fund had agreements exempting them from the lockup. That meant they were free to unload millions of shares during the peak when it hit the all-time high. So the result is that the retail buyers who bought near the all-time high, 300, as I've said, I think it went 400, they lost. Because when you buy high, and then it goes down, then you're going to lose money. So, and then the private equity fund on the other hand actually gained a lot. That is where the new complaint is hinged on. They're saying that you should have disclosed it to retail investors that you exempted this two private equity fund from the lockup rule. Okay. Okay. Okay, clear? So that's where the new complaint is coming from. Now, that's the missing step. Retail investors bought at an inflated price near the all time high, 351 or even 400, without realizing that a private equity fund, those that actually hold millions of dollars in stocks, do not have the lockup rule. Okay, now, the question is there a law in South Korea that requires retail investors to be informed if there is an agreement like this, right? Because that's where the contention is. Are you actually required by the law? If you're not required by the law, then I've discussed with you last live stream that when it comes to laws and regulations, in every inclusion, everything else is an exclusion. Okay. Okay. Yes, there is a rule that requires companies to disclose to retail investors that the lockup rule is not in place after this entire HYBE thing. So when HYBE was going on IPO, when they were doing their IPO, all the way until after they did their IPO, that rule was not in place. So the law does not require them to disclose it to retail investors. The law was put in place, the regulation was put in place after HYBE thing happened. And that should be the end of the case. But they're pushing for it. They're pushing for it. Okay. So HYBE argues that they actually disclosed this. They said, no, we know this. We actually disclosed it. So when you're doing an IPO, full disclosure, I have never led an IPO for a company. I helped in the IPO of a company, never led it. Two different things, very, very different. So I've never been an underwriter for an IPO. So when you're doing an IPO, if you want to take your company public, you would hire an underwriter. Okay. So in this case, they had two underwriters, NH Investment and Korea Investment. And these two underwriters sought legal advice. So the underwriters, they went to lawyers, different lawyers, and made sure, are we actually required to disclose this clause in their contract? Are we required? And all the lawyers said, you're not required to disclose it. So they said, okay, then let's not disclose it. That's what happened. So Hybe is saying, we told the underwriters, and the underwriters said it's okay not to disclose. So we don't have any legal obligation to do it. Okay. Um, that Now, this is after the entire HYBE event. Now the regulators tighten the rules. Okay, after the HYBE IPO, their stock exchange revised its due diligence checklist to explicitly require disclosure of shareholders agreements that might affect investor protection. So the language does not necessarily still say that you need to disclose the exemption of a private equity firm from a lockup rule. It does not explicitly state that. This is the language. Sorry. Before that, let's talk about the job of an underwriter. What do they actually do? They structure the IPO, so they make sure that the regulations, whatever it is that you're going to do, is you're abiding by the law. And of course, they price the share. They are the ones that determine, okay, are you worth $1 or are you worth 100? They are the ones that will price it. And then they market the share to institutional and retail investors. And they ensure regulatory filings. So that's the job of an underwriter. Usually 99.9% of the time, the underwriter is not employed by the company, but the company pays them. So it's usually a third party. Think of an auditing firm, right? So the auditing firm is supposedly, that's, well, not supposedly, an auditing firm is required by the law to be objective, even though you are getting paid by one party. So that's the same as the underwriter. They are getting their payment from HYBE, but their obligation is to the regulations, not to HYBE. Okay. All right. So that's the job of an underwriter. So now these are the things that they added in terms of the regulation after HYBE went into their IPO. So they said that this is the new checklist. They added this in the checklist of due diligence, whether the agreement undermines the company's management independence, whether the agreement jeopardizes the protection of minority of shareholders, just like what happened to, so clauses like that has to be disclosed, whether it raises red flags around institutional investors conducting secondary offerings, or whether it enables de facto share transfer disguised as shareholders contract. So that thing that happened to their regulatory filing when they didn't disclose it, it falls under the second rule, whether the agreement jeopardizes the protection of minority shareholders. Because allowing a huge company or a huge shareholder to dump their stock will affect the stock, which will eventually affect the retail investors. Okay. So the thing is that KOSPI, the stock exchange of Korea, literally changed their law after HYBE IPO. Okay, so the underwriters, if HYBE goes on IPO now, then they will have to disclose the clause. But because they did it before it was required by the law, they didn't have to disclose it. Okay. So now the case is all hinged on intent. What industry insiders are saying is that if they really want to go after Bang Shiyuk and Hybe, they're going to question the intent. Did you intentionally mislead your retail investors by not telling them that your institutional investor, the 2PF, can dump their stocks, no limit? So that's what they're going to go after. That will be the legal strategy. Go after the intent, even though it is not in the regulation. Okay. It seems clear they abide by the rule at that time. It is very clear that they abide by the rule at that time. Everyone knows it. So you just have to ask if it is as clear as day, even to us who aren't experts in the law. It's very, very clear to us. Why are they still going after him? So there has to be another intention. So the industry, actually, all other financial companies or other, or just businesses that are going to go on an IPO or are already public. They're saying that number one, you cannot implement a law instituted today to an event that happened yesterday. So you can't convict me on something I did yesterday, which was not illegal yesterday. You made it illegal today, then you're going to arrest me. That can't happen. So the law is only implementable to events from when it actually got instituted moving forward. Okay. Proving intent is difficult at best. Correct. Okay. All right. So that's the first argument of the industry insiders. Second, around 29% of HYBE stocks were traded on the first day, which is consistent with other IPOs. They're saying that there's really nothing extraordinary about it. 29% of the stocks were traded, which is normal for the first day IPO. That's like there's nothing extraordinary happening. Things were moving at the same speed, basically. Okay. Next, analysts stress that private equity funds routinely sell at IPO to recover capital. So one of the reasons I don't like buying stocks when they go public on the first days, because I know it's going to plummet almost always it's going to plummet at the end of the day, because institutional investors will try to recover their money as soon as they can, so they will sell. So the minute, because remember, these people actually own like 10,000 worth. Let's just say they have like, let's just, this is just an example. If they own like 100,000 worth of shares, okay, 100,000 worth of shares, and then the share went up 10%. So let's just say that they gain $100 per share. times 100,000, that's a lot of money. So most likely they're going to share. They're going to sell because they're going to gain that much. So it's very ordinary for people to let go of the stock the same day that they open the IPO so that they can recover their initial investment. So the industry is saying there's nothing extraordinary about this practice. It happens all the time. Um, and then legal experts are saying that traditional stock manipulation involves market deception. This is not market deception, because market deception means false disclosure, meaning you said something that is actually not true. You spread rumors of collusion, or you wash trading. And in this, since Bang Shiyuk did not directly trade or spread false information, then it's very difficult to classify this as a stock manipulation case. So that's what legal experts are saying. Okay. So the last thing in this article that is actually kind of important is one of the lawyers actually stating that as the police began investigating the case, they clashed with the prosecution several times. So imagine the police is actually disagreeing with the prosecution on what's actually what they will have to do. And other than that, the financial supervisory service was competing with the police in the investigation. So it seems like the financial supervisory services just wanted they want it to be them that's investigating the case, and the police wants to be the one to actually investigate the case. They were fighting over it. So again, you have to think about, like, why are they even doing this? It's as clear as day. They did not violate any regulation. And then you have several agencies that are fighting over the case. What on earth is happening? Okay. So basically, a political move to intimidate Bang Shi, you can get something out of him. They definitely want something out of him. That is for sure. It's just a matter of what it is that they want. Like, do they just want to humiliate him and exercise and sort of just show that they are superior, better than he is, or do they want something else? Is the question. Why haven't these shareholders spoken out? Are they waiting to be called upon? Meanwhile, Bang Shiyuk is being dragged into the mud. So I don't know if you would remember that, but I think about a month ago or 2 months ago, maybe I said that there is actually a law firm that's trying to do a class action lawsuit against him. So they're collecting people that are willing to sue Bang Shiyuk. Whoever is accusing Bang Shiyuk is just trying to get attention, most likely media people behind the scenes. Or it could be that they're trying to. There's so many probable reasons to this. They were paid, they're trying to, like, establish a good reputation with the president, because the president would appreciate like a flagship case. There's so many. So, but I've told you this before, they're not going to stop until they get him. So 5 years after the fact. Yeah, 5 years after the fact. They want BTS to be puppets of the government. I remember 2022 Festa where RM talked about the pressure and how they don't want to be spokespeople, etc., to be upsetting. Yeah, that I know. I know that, they were dangling, and it was obvious, like several politicians actually spoke about why other politicians kept on mentioning the exemption to BTS. And she said that BTS never asked for it. Why do you keep on mentioning them? So for the longest time, they kept on dangling that exemption. And to the credit of BTS, I think they did serve their country, because I'm not saying that they shouldn't like do anything for their country. That's absurd. I mean, that's your country. You do need to help your country, right? Like, if some, like in my country, I mean the Philippines, my home country, if they, I guess US is also my home country, my other home country. if they if they ask for my help, I will help. The current president of the Philippines is actually the son of the dictator that tortured my dad. But it's my country. I love my country. I'll do anything for it. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't help. It is their obligation. They are Koreans, so absolutely their obligation to help. But I think they know that the kind of help that being asked of them isn't necessarily for the interest of the country, but for the interest of the politicians. So this is why it is appointing this new person as the PR. If you remember, they appointed a new director for PR, and his specific goal is to sort of strengthen the relationship of HYBE with politicians in politics, finance, and regulations. It's very, very important because I mean, during that height of the chaos with Min Hee-jin, I mean, she was running circles around Hybe. They had a very, very weak PR. Number one, she knows their playbook, right? Because she was with Hybe. So she knew exactly what Hybe will not do. And she was willing to do everything Hybe was not willing to do. So having somebody like that guy, fixing the relationship of Hybe with politicians and regulators, it would really, really help. Because then maybe if they had him very early on, this is something that could have been prevented. And just like what I said in the video, it's not about him giving the politicians money or whatever. It's about his ability to channel the support towards what is beneficial to the country instead of what's beneficial to the politician. One good example would be the Expo, right? In their bid. So, as if you would remember, Busan wanted to bid for the World Expo, and they asked BTS to be an ambassador, a brand ambassador for that, so that they can lead the campaign. So that was okay. There at that time, they still at some point these politicians managed to raise their hand, get a photo off. That's something that you cannot avoid. But at least BTS was campaigning for something for Busan, not necessarily for the politicians. So it's the PR person's job to be able to navigate those things. If a politician or the government wants BTS not just BTS but any other member, any other group or artist under Bangshi, under Hybe, if they want something from them, it is the job of this PR person, this publicist, to channel the support towards the country instead of the politician. Okay. Fire butterfly, I understand and agree, but in terms of the case, would it need to stop or would they continue? Okay. So now outside of this thing, JYP was actually so there are two, just to be clear, there are two investigators, the police and the financial authorities. So this time it's just the police calling him, but the financial authorities are also conducting their own investigation. So as I've said, they continue to question Bang Shiok despite this case being looked at twice already, or in spite of this case being looked at already. So they want something and they won't stop until they get it. So just it's just a matter of being able to distill what it is that they want from this guy. What do they want from Hybe or from Bang Shiyuk or for whoever? Now, on other news, JYP has been appointed as a co-chair for their culture something. So the government tapped him to serve in the government to lead in the development of Hallyu, Korean culture and entertainment. So he is now the co-chair of that. Okay, so I've always said that everybody, once you become a CEO, once you become this big, at some point you do something questionable, right? So it's always a matter of choosing between who's the going. It's a matter of identifying who is the least evil of all. And at least based on what we know, based on his reputation, JYP is one of those nice guys out there. How nice is actually nice, we don't know. But at the very least, it's not Kakao that they appointed. At least it's JYP, right? Um, if we just base it on his relationship with even with the artist, with former JYP artists, all of them are talking highly of him. All of them still have a relationship, good relationship with him. So I'm just hoping that in the sea of evil, at least we found the least evil to actually do the job. So and of course he managed to build a huge company like JYP. So my I could imagine that he knows a lot on how to do this thing, and maybe he can actually help, right? That's the bottom line. If they're making him a co-chair to push Korean culture, Korean entertainment, Korean music, TV shows, and others, since he has done it in his own agency, maybe he can present perspectives that we don't know that they actually need. So that is actually number one. Maybe he can present the artistic perspective in terms of policy. Like, what do they actually need? What do artists actually need right now? What kind of support? What kind of laws should be put in place? I mean, I've said this before. I've done a video about this before, that I think one of the major regulations that they need to put in place would be the protection of minors in the entertainment industry. I am totally against banning or not supporting minors in the entertainment industry. I think our kids should be allowed to pursue their passion. If this is something that they want to do, they should be allowed to do it. However, there should also be a little bit more leeway because they are minors. And of course, a lot of protection because they are minors. One of which, and I will fully support this, that if there's anybody slandering a kid, or if there's any kind of report, criminal cases, scandal, if it is a kid, the name of the kid should never be mentioned. The minor. That's one of the things that, like, if I am going to advocate for something, that's one of the things that I will advocate for. A minor, the name of a minor in a scandal should never, ever be used because that's a minor. And then there should be harsher punishments to people that are slandering a kid. Now, critical critical criticisms are okay. That's part of the industry that you get into. But there has to be more protection when it comes to to slander, to defamation and stuff like that. Okay, so but maybe because JYP is actually in the industry itself, he will be able to provide those insights to the policymakers. Maybe he can actually tell them that, okay, these are the policies that we need, these are the policies that should be there, that are missing in order to nurture artists, real artists, and not just entertainment. I also think that women should be protected a little bit more because, as you know, it's very common for a lot of K-pop idols, specifically female K-pop idols, to get to be, and this is like a proven case in South Korea, that they actually get pimped out. You know, a lot of artists have already spoken about that. Okay, next is maybe he can provide some insight on how they actually nurture the global soft power strategy. So right now, a lot of the support of the government came in the form of financing movies, dramas, shows. They put up coliseums or venues where shows can actually happen. Um, and those things are good. But because they are going global, now companies need a different type of support, right? So the regulatory climate, in other words the political climate, it's changing. A lot of laws are changing. So if one government, if they want to go into a certain country, then there has to be a special arrangement in order to protect the interest of the artists and also the interest of the country where they are going to, and that's gonna go into an agreement. Okay, one clear example, as it might confuse some of you, one clear example, when when BTS performed in Saudi Arabia, it shocked a lot of people, right? Because it's a Muslim country. So, and as you know, majority of the fans of BTS in Saudi Arabia were actually girls. So, will they actually allow armies, female armies, to go to the venue and watch BTS and scream to their heart's content for BTS? So that was a big question. Of course, a lot of people underestimated Saudi Arabia, Dubai. The truth is that those are the UAE, Dubai. That UAE is actually some of the, and Saudi Arabia are very liberal. And it's actually a pretty safe country. But there are other Muslim countries that will not allow performances like that. And so, are we going to let the question here for them is, are we not going to forge a partnership with those countries so that they will allow the our artists to go into that country to promote? So things like that. So the key is in forging partnerships with these countries and what kind of support that they will do. And then of course, like taxes, payments, all of those things have to be set up well, because you can't expect a group to go into a certain country and not get paid, right? And that payment will only happen, like business can only happen if there is a good relationship between two countries. So that kind of strategies will have to be the things that he will be dealing with and should be pushing for. Okay, next, institutional legitimacy and support. So the support of the government in Hallyu has not grown since the initial slew of support in the 80s. A lot of the venues that they promised will be constructed actually never came into fruition. So a lot of the regulations that have been put in place actually are just limiting the growth instead of nurturing the growth of K-pop. So then if he can actually push for financial support to finally push through with the construction of venues, with new regulations, then that would be an advantage to them. Now, that's a huge if. And that's a huge if. Can he actually do it? I'll wait to believe when I see what. So, okay, so now let's go into the negative consideration. Okay, the number one negative consideration is that it's now you're blurring the lines between entertainment and government, and that's never good. Here or in other countries, I never agree. I never ever like it when the government impedes private businesses. They should stay out of private businesses. The government has no, of course they should be setting up regulations and whatever. But the moment that the government gets active control or active influence in private businesses, it's never good. Never ever good. And now that they actually hired somebody from the private sector, that line could get blurred, right? So that's, I hope it doesn't happen. Again, as I've said, it's JYP. So I guess that's the best that we can hope for. And then they can actually risk homogenized culture because JYP has his own culture in his own agency. We don't want that specific culture to be implemented across the board. Every agency, YG, SM, Starship, whoever, they have their own culture. We don't want him to influence the kind of culture that each agency will implement, which can happen if the government imposes it. And of course, conflict of interest. He's still the CEO of JYP at the end of the day. So let's see what's going to happen. Coldplay went to Mumbai, so they know who to contact. I have little confidence in JYP's success because even if he wants to do good, he will have to do what the government wants. And of course, the pressure on young artists and agencies. So what if the government pressures him to do something because they, in exchange of the support of the government? So it's basically a dictatorship. That is, of course, that's not we uh, that is what a lot of people are worried about, that this president is actually trying to control one of the most vibrant industries in South Korea, which is the entertainment industry. It is their publicist. It's like Hollywood, right? So if you are a little lost, just try to connect it to Hollywood. Imagine if the current president tries to control Hollywood. He will dictate who will get funding, what kind of movies they make. Oh my god, right? Holy shit. So it's the same thing for this president. He That's what's happening. He's trying to get into the entertainment industry. But in his address, in the talk that he delivered, he actually promised that he's not going to impede in the process of Korean entertainment. He said that we're just going to set up support, but we will allow it to run independently. So hopefully that's what he's going to do. Okay. All right, new president seems to have a strong interest in K-pop, judging by what he said on K-pop Demon Hunters panel. Seems like he is the type to mix government and pop culture. Okay, so let's do. Okay, do you have questions before we go into either BTS or the Gold House? Um, the government wanted BTS to perform save face. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, there were a lot of boy scouts and girl scouts. I think it was a mix, right? It was scouts, boys and girls, that actually, so they really mismanaged that entire event. A lot of they were provided tents that, just a lot of people got sick. And then I guess to save face, they were calling on BTS to perform a concert to make up to make up for what they have done. But that is a perfect demonstration on what they're gonna try, on how they can actually use artists for to their favor, right? Because somebody made money for sure. Because that had a lot of funds. When they dug deeper, they realized that that event had a lot of funds, and then the plan was actually good, and then somehow nothing was implemented. So someone pocketed the money, and then it was just forgotten. But that is a perfect example in how they can actually use artists to serve their purpose. So will Bang Shiyuk have to eat the humble pie, or is there a solution? I think it's going to be a mix of everything. There won't be, this is just my opinion. But I think there won't be like one strategy. It's going to be a mixture of different strategies. I think putting up, as I've said, the PR person, their PR director, to establish a good relationship with regulators and with politicians and the financial industry, I think it's a good move, so he can formulate something there. I just want to emphasize that it isn't about paying people. That's not what a PR person is supposed to be doing. The PR person is about laying out a strategy so that they can avoid things like this. So for example, as I've said, if a politician wants BTS, for example, let's just not say BTS, maybe Le Seraphim. If they want Le Seraphim to attend an event for a politician, what the PR person is supposed, and this is oversimplifying it. I just want to make it clear that this is not what this is all about. I'm just oversimplifying it to make it relatable to people who don't know PR. Okay, so for example, if a politician wants Le Seraphim to appear in an event or to whatever, this PR person's job is to channel Le Seraphim support to something that will benefit the country and not necessarily the politician. So instead of campaigning for you, why don't we just allow Le Seraphim to appear in an event for your city, for example? Again, oversimplifying it, but this is just an example. Okay, we can't attend your campaign, but if you set up an event for kids, for an adoption, for example, adoption campaign, the Seraphim can be the face of that campaign, right? So then the Seraphim is serving the country, not the politician. Just want to emphasize that that is oversimplifying it, but just to make it more relatable and simpler in concept. That's the job of a PR person. So in the case of Bang Shiyuk, it's going to be something like that. He shouldn't be paying anybody, and don't think that they will do that. But that is whatever it is that they want. His job is to channel that support, whatever it is that they want from Bang Shiyuk or whoever, to something that will benefit the country instead of benefiting anybody. So that's one. Is he going to apologize? Probably, because this is more a cultural thing for South Korea. Apologizing is just part of it. Even their politicians, after getting caught having an affair, stealing money, the solution is to apologize and then they move on. So they probably want that apology to happen. Is he going to be fined? Maybe. Is he going to be asked to do all of that? Most likely. So it's a combination, probably, of that. Um, I still think that they should strengthen Hybe America and move some of their operations there. It's going to be like a 10-year process, but they should start now. So He needs to find out what who wants first. Yeah, they need to find out what it is. They probably already know what it is that they want from him or from Hype. They probably already know that. I think that's why the PR person is there. Okay. All right. Does that answer your question? Just want to emphasize that's oversimplifying it. Okay, so like the job of that guy is much more complicated than what I said, but just to make it more relatable to PR to people. PR person is an ambassador for the company and part spy to try and avoid pitfalls for the company. Yeah, he also needs to gatekeep. Part of his job is to gatekeep, make sure that information within the company that shouldn't be going out should not go out. I've always said that Min Hee Jin knew the playbook of Hype. That's why she was running circles around Hype. She knew the playbook, and she was willing to do the things that Hype wasn't doing. So she was that's why she got ahead of the narrative, because she knew the playbook. And that could not have happened if they had a PR person, a strong PR strategy. Okay, so we have two, either the Gold House or the BTS business strategy that Geffen is implementing. They want BTS. Which one do you want? BTS, the Gold House, or BTS? They want something and it's not money related. Let's do BTS. Do you want to do BTS? Or you want to do the Gold House? The Gold House is an event. So um Gold House is a nonprofit organization, and supposedly it is about um uplifting or yeah, uplifting and helping Asians in America. So, okay, let's do BTS. All right. So, that event, it's actually kind of related. So, that event was it was for Gold House, and their goal is to help Asian artists, Asian artists in moving forward with their career. Okay. So, it's not necessarily just music, but any kind of arts related or cultural related careers in the US. Okay, it's a nonprofit organization. So Hybe this year and last year sponsored it together with Geffen. And so it was a gala. They usually do like 100, they recognize like 100 artists every year. And then they have a gala night. And then this year they had like some sort of a question and answer session. I did not attend this. So much of the information that I am going to be sharing to you actually came from people who attended that I know and just told me some stuff. Okay. And then another disclaimer is that they were very careful in mentioning the name of BTS. They were very, very, very careful. So even though it was obvious they were referring to BTS, they would be very careful to not necessarily mention the name of BTS. But one of the things that some of the people observed is that a lot of the plans that agencies are implementing actually came from BTS. Okay. So one important thing that will be more common among Western artists is the expansion of IP of their artists beyond music. So initially, before BTS, a lot of the contracts involved only, when they say 360, it actually encompasses all the things that an artist will produce or will create. So that includes concerts, merch, or whatever. But an agency won't necessarily, our label, for example, Universal, won't necessarily push for anything else outside of music related things because their specialty is in music. Okay. So now one of the things that they realized with BTS is that they should absolutely go beyond music, because financially creating IPs that will evolve outside of artist direct involvement is a crucial move because it provides the artist financial freedom. right? So if I have IPs, for example, BTS has several IPs. Um, they have Tiny Tan, they have BT21, they have the narrative itself. So they have a lot of IPs. If you are able to create a brand out of your IP outside of your music, it provides the artist financial consistency, right? Because you just need to sustain this IP. You just need to sustain it. It's already there. You already have a support. You just need to sustain it and then grow it. So then the artist, because he has consistent financial income, consistent money coming in, he does not need to worry about the finances of his music. He can concentrate purely on his music, and then the IP itself will be the one that will bring in the money to him. So now many management companies, music labels are realizing this, that they can actually use the artist to develop other IPs, start their campaign, start the marketing, start the brand by attaching the artist to the IP and then slowly pull it apart. And that shouldn't be hard because products are getting launched every day. If you have a solid team that will nurture the growth of your IP, then better for you. So, for example, BTS's brand is so strong that they don't need to be the ones that are partnering with brands. Their IPs are the ones that are partnering with brands. Tiny Tan is a perfect example. They now have a partnership. So imagine how big this is. BTS didn't lift a finger with this partnership, and they're bound to make millions without doing anything, without even having to think about it. They are going to earn millions of dollars from this partnership. So, and it all started because they created an IP, first attached it to BTS, and then slowly divorced it from BTS. Okay. Yeah, like when the Jacksons had their cartoon back when I was a kid. Correct. So BT21 and Tiny Tan have global partnerships that probably far exceeds brand ambassador deals of BTS. So that means, like, for example, if they are in a partnership with, for example, I don't know, North Face or Chanel or whoever it is that they're in a partnership with. How long is that partnership? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, maybe. But after that, what's going to happen? And that they will earn by doing activities directly for the brand, as opposed to Tiny Tan and BT21. Long after BTS have gotten married or slowed down in their career, this IPs will continue if they nurture it the right way. Okay. So BT21 and Tiny Tan actually have apparently a lot of global partnerships that we don't even know. So many brands from different countries actually partner with them, with BT21 and Tiny Tan. We don't even know about it because it's being distributed in other countries. They just pay BTS and HYBE a certain amount per sales outside of the one-off payment. So like makeup brands, they do a lot of this. A lot of makeup brands actually partner with BT21 and Tiny Tan. Is IP independent project, intellectual property. IP's intellectual property. So Tiny Tan actually has a lot of partnership with different fashion brands. So, and in different countries, this is one of them. They sell it, it's legal, it's licensed, but BTS does not participate in any of this. So they just sign a contract, they get a one time payment, and then they get a portion of the sale. And then this is another thing, like a lot of stationery brands are actually in partnership with Tiny Tan and BT21. So yeah, exactly that. Like BT21 and Miniso, that's a legal partnership. So they license BT21. BTS is not doing anything to promote it, but they're earning. Okay. So it's not just in South Korea, but it's in a lot of countries. A lot of brands all over the world partner with them. And a lot of it we don't even know because we're not in that country. So that's an example. Many it was mentioned in the event that a lot of they're realizing now that because consumption of different products are changing, it is necessary to actually create brands or IPs that will eventually that is attached to the artist first and then eventually get divorced from the artist so that it can grow on its own. Begins Youth is also an IP. So Hybe actually experimented with a drama. They most likely will continue this in the near future. Okay. Second is narratives. I actually didn't think about this at first, but if you actually really analyze the greats, Michael Jackson, even Whitney Houston, I can argue with Whitney Houston, but they all are very heavy on narratives because the story lives beyond their mortality. So, for example, Thriller is still being licensed by gaming companies, by stationery companies, toy companies, because he created a very strong character and a very strong story. So he is one of them. The Beatles is another one. They created different personas. So they created a story with Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And then, of course, I can also argue that they started music videos in general. They were the ones who started music videos. So all of those things, they were able to strengthen their narratives. So that is why they experimented with Cat Eyes Gabriella. Cat's Eyes Gabriella. So the song itself has a different narrative, right? It's a soap opera. but but the thing is that isolated they experimented by creating this music video with a story because they know that one way to capture the market is to present them with an entertaining story. So they're experimenting with this. More and more groups, more and more labels are going to experiment with this kind of approach with their artists. Now, BTS didn't necessarily started. I've been saying that it's just that they were the first one to do it at the scale that they did. So more labels are going to go back into what Michael Jackson introduced. And that is creating a narrative, creating a story in your music videos that are not necessarily super tightly connected to your songs. So narratives has been largely ignored because of the need for an ROI. So like BTS, like Thriller, for example, like many groups, they're concerned, not just groups, but many artists, the concern of labels is that they want an ROI right away. So most of them don't like doing long-term narratives because before that narrative to actually catch on, it actually takes time. But they're going to start experimenting with it again. Okay, next is the elevation of concert experience. Um, BTS has, I think, it was mentioned by one of my guests in one of the people that I interviewed that for Map of the Soul, they were going to do one of the things that they were doing was to create this fan experience place. So days before the actual show, people can actually go to that area and then just just go through experience things like look at some pictures, try some things, play some games, maybe sing some, do some dancing and whatever. um so they're sort of creating their own festival, but much more engaged. It's much more engaged. So there were other, in fact, this whole festival thing started because some bands didn't want to deal with the pricing of ticketing services. So they started doing their own festival. But usually for festivals, it's only booths, food booths, sometimes merch booths. But BTS sort of elevated that experience by providing an actual experience. So more artists are going to try, will start doing this. Okay, I think maybe if um Taylor Swift does another tour, she's probably going to do this. So and also they want to start implementing continuous releases outside of albums. So one of the things that, as we all know, BTS is doing is that they continue to have like um exhibits, pop-up stores, independent releases, stuff like that. And the intention is to keep their name afloat, even though they are not physically present. So one of that would be like the golden exhibit or the exhibit of Jimin. So all of those things. Geffen is going to start implementing this for their artists. So they want to create experiences like this so that when the artist is on a downtime, they can keep their name afloat and keep the relationship with the artist, with the fans going. Okay, so they'll start implementing that as well. And then artistic expression. As you know, V actually had his own photo exhibit. So they want to encourage, they will start encouraging their artists to explore their other things to do and then make money off that as well. Okay. So the made by BTS, which Hybe eventually implemented to other groups. They did made by TXT, made by ENHYPEN, made by 17. The intention of this is to expand the artistry of the artist. So they want their own artists to explore different ways on how they can bring in income for themselves and bring in income for the agency. Okay. So this is the exhibit of V. To those that went, congratulations. They will also start doing global press conferences. Not a lot of artists actually have done this, primarily because you kind of need some brains to actually provide some like substantial answers to reporters. But what it allowed BTS is to do is take control of their own narratives. So Geffen, Hybe America will start doing this for their artists. Instead of doing press junket, they will actually start doing global press conferences. It also elevates their brand, right? When you're talking intelligently with reporters, it elevates your brand. Okay. Very few artists will have demand for that kind of activities. Yes, and they kind of, it seems that the music labels in the US are very well aware of that, that of the many artists that they will release, only a few will actually have that kind of demand to implement something like this. They're very, very aware. So it is most likely that BTS will not really release any kind of like a steady fashion line, and they will most likely just continue doing pop-ups because that's where the fashion industry is going to go. So they do a lot of pop-ups in different countries. It's like a traveling thing nowadays, right? They'll do one in the Philippines, in the US, in OC, and Europe or whatever, because of the changing behavior of the market. So apparently, people, when you want to buy clothes, you go fast fashion. If you want something that you will just use, a utility, you just go fast fashion. So you go for something cheap and go to H&M, brands like that. But you will buy a brand in partnership with the artists that you support. So most likely BTS is just going to stay in that pop-up thing. So it's going to allow them to continue selling their merch at a higher price because it's limited. Okay. So pop-ups work because it's limited time. So there's like a FOMO kind of element to it. People don't want to miss it. um so they'll buy right away. So and then they amplify brand engagement because people go to the stores, and because it's going to be there for only a month, your tendency is to do whatever it is that you can to visit the store. So there's more interaction. Third is that it's low risk but high reward. So you can limit the number of products that you will be pushing, and then not have to go through the pressure of making like 1 million, 2 million, just so that you can make your money back because you can sell at a higher price. So this is where they're gonna go, and they bridge online and real life experiences. So you can check the products online, go to the store to pick it up. Okay, so this is the strategy that even artists in the US will also start adapting. Instead of releasing their own merch or whatever, they're just gonna count on pop-ups and unexpected collaborations. So one of the most unexpected collaborations that BTS has done is Suga and NBA. if you would remember. So they released their Sugar line in the NBA. So according to studies, the more unexpected the collaboration is, the better, because people tend to get surprised and they want a piece of that because they know that it's going to last. It's not going to last very long. So BTS will most likely start partnering. Well, BTS has already done it, but other artists in the West, they are going to start collaborating with unexpected brands. Okay. And then immersive marketing. So BTS is the one that pioneered allowing people to do experiential things in their own exhibits and their pop-ups. So this is one of them. If you've been to any of their exhibits, you know that there's always a portion where you can actually do something. Sometimes it's karaoke, or sometimes you can recreate the pictures and have their standee there, and you can participate in the, you can be in the picture with them. They did the piano, the huge piano. This is the bus stop for Love Yourself. And then they also had the piano. If you would remember Suga Butter, was it Butter, where he was standing on a piano, and they had that in one of their exhibit. So any of their pop-up store will integrate some sort of an experiential part, so that you are not just shopping, you're actually interacting with their brand. And then last but not the least is the isolation of their art from marketing. So one of the things that BTS did effectively is to not allow the marketing side of things to affect what they write. So, and the West is sort of realizing the value of that. Don't rely on, don't allow the market to dictate your creative. Allow the market to dictate how you're going to market the creatives, but don't allow the market to dictate your creatives. So BTS has been successful in just isolating their their art. So they'll write songs that they like, but they will not allow the market to dictate how they will market this song. That's it. You have questions? I saw that JK in his last live told armies directly, if you come to my house. Oh yeah, I'm Princeton. I can see that, but what is Labubu? I think it's like a character, like a doll or something. I feel like a broken record, but has anyone ordered a BTS children's book? I did. Do I have? Wait, I'm not sure. I think I did. Well, money is money. I want their success. I know for a fact that if there is Labubu BTS limited edition, the internet will break. Um, a collaboration between BTS and Labubu. Uh, I think it's going to be, so allegedly. What I heard is that it was actually Lisa of Blackpink who popularized it. So probably they're going to they're going to partner with Lisa. That's what I heard. That's what I heard, that it was her who popularized it. And I allegedly the owner of Labubu actually acknowledged it. So maybe it's going to be Lisa that they will be partnering with. So the question now is, what new strategy will invent that will be copied by later? Let's see. Let's see. Or maybe they're done. I mean, I think at this stage, I do think that the IP strategy is one of the best that they ever came up with, because it does provide them with financial, like, consistency, right? Because a lot of these licensed products, when they license BT21 and Tiny Tan, we're not even aware of it, because they can travel to any part of the world. These partnerships can happen in any part of the world. So essentially their income is coming from different parts of the world in things that they don't even get involved with. So I think that is definitely the one thing that I would hope they can still nurture, and I hope that Hybe and Big Hit actually continue nurturing. I also think that isolating the last part, when they isolate their art from their marketing, I think is something that the whole world should do. Like, do all of this blitz, pop-ups, narratives in your music videos, whatever, but make sure that your art is not affected by it. Lisa did popularize it, but it's the army that generates the money. BTS doing a Labubu collab would seem to be an indirect conflict with BT21. I'm not very uh attracted to the Labubu aesthetics. I may be it's probably it's I don't know. I'm probably in the minority, but I'm just not attracted to how it looks. There is a guy doing celebrity Labubu. I think it may lose steam when there is one guy being the exclusive celebrity designer. I never heard of Labubu before. Te got one during his recent Celine show appearance. Seemed that he and other ambassadors got them as gifts. So it could be that, yeah. Um, every now and then, publicists would actually send out notices to different brands and say that, okay, we have an event. I need like 200 pieces of something to be included in the pack. So, or gift box, depending on what they're going to be doing. So a lot of brands would actually just send in their brand and then their product, and then they'll include it. And so, sometimes like that, then it gets photographed with the celebrity, then you get the marketing value. Me either, Fairlin. I have two the old troll dolls, one large, one regular size. Real Labubu are expensive. Chinese knockoffs are cheaper. Oh, I remember Wani actually posting about it. She said that she bought something and she thought it was like real and it was fake. So she said that she got scammed. I'm not a fan of Labubu either. I can't imagine the paperwork the person who does their taxes has to go through. I know, right? But yeah, I also think I do agree that it's not just because they implement it doesn't mean that it's gonna work. At the end of the day, you still need someone like BTS, someone that has a strong brand power to be able to pull it off. And also because BTS kind of knows what kind of products will actually work well for them. So they know not all partnerships will work, right? If it's a mismatch, if the brand identity isn't consistent with them, then it's not going to work. But they seem to be very good at choosing the kind of brands that they will be working with. So yeah, let's see if they can. Their first project will be for Cat's Eye. They want to implement all of these things to Cat's Eye. Let's see if they're going to work. And there's a new girl group. They're going to be launching a new girl group as well. Labubu gave Cat's Eye. Labubu at the VMAs. Don't like that. Remember to like that video. It's a boo boo face. So yes, please like the video. Where's my caption? Is it still there? Okay, there. Please like the video. So, do you have any more questions? Oh, it's already 2 hours. I still think it's amazing that BTS is affecting the international entertainment industry this much. Yeah, I think it's very interesting that and to this day, like people are still sort of figuring out the entire breadth of their strategy, right? And many of this, I don't think BTS sort of sat down and thought about it and then created it and then implemented it. I think a lot of it, they were just sort of experimenting with things, and then they go with like what is actually working. So I think that in itself is amazing that they had that like instinct in them to come up with things that would actually work for them. So I'm not entirely surprised that the world is still catching up on the things that they have done and the amount of influence they have on the market. Um, I just think that it is very important for people to sort of document these things because, as I've said, down the road in about 5-10 years or probably even sooner, many of the strategies will be adapted. It's important that people know where it actually came from. Let's go another 2 hours. Anyone watching their Italian American reality show Santos Bravas, the Dust Collector, and Last in the Landfill Forever? Labubu was popularized by Lisa of Blackpink. Hobie posted on Weavers. I want to see what BTS team will come up with on their comeback. Yeah, let's see. I'm also excited. Hire Jin to develop IPs. He's a genius. He does have a knack for it. Yeah, I agree. He knows what's gonna hit. So yeah, I mean, look at the two things that he's created. Um Woto and uh RJ, right? Hobie posted in Weavers. Okay. All right. Do you have questions before I go? I will have, so the live stream on Friday will be for Diamond and Rise and Shine and Above. Okay. Sheep. Okay. So I will and then for the highest tiers that includes Legacy. As you know, there's one like a lifestyle blog that I will be uploading. So my dog and my mom and I are doing something tomorrow, so I'll take you with me. So okay, do you have questions before we go? Joe Hobie's here. My dog wants to say bye. Okay, say bye bye, baby. Rana, you want to meet me? I want to meet you too. Maybe we can meet in the next concert. What do you think? Say bye bye. Say bye bye. Say bye bye. Say bye. You're yawning on them. That's not polite. Say bye bye. Bye. Bye.